Hey everybody, it's Herc Magnus here, and I want to show you an amazing new feature that we just added to Project Supremacy v3 called the Schema Duplicator. Now, let's say for instance you're on Google and you're doing a search of a keyword, okay, learn to play guitar or something like that, and you're going through and you see something in the SERPs, either a rich snippet or star reviews that have a little bit of a different flair on them with percents versus voting numbers, and you really dig what's going on and you'd like to copy their schema. So you can head over to their page, okay, and one thing you can do is you can go to the structured data testing tool in Google and see what's going on. So for this page, I already have it loaded up. You can see wikihow.com/playguitar. I have this page loaded up in the Google structured data testing tool. Now we can look at their schema and we see they have an article schema with nice aggregate rating. So if I click on type, I can actually see the schema that they have in there. And what I could do if I wanted it really is just copy and paste it. But if I wanted to build further from there, I might run into some issues, especially if I'm not really a schema pro. So what we built in Project Supremacy v3 is the ability to grab any URL, grab schema and replicate it. So let's head into this Project Supremacy v3 schema builder, and I'm going to show you the new feature called Project Supremacy version 3 Schema Duplicator. Alright guys, so here we are inside of Project Supremacy v3 and I am in the schema tab. So what we're going to do is duplicate the schema on that site that we like, the How to Play Guitar site. So all we have to do is grab the URL for the site that we like the schema on, and we can come back in, and up here in the schema tab we see duplicator. So I'm going to load that up. I'm going to paste in the URL. I'm going to give the schema a name. Okay, we're going to call it Guitar Learning. Call it whatever you want, and then it's gonna ask me where do you want to save this. So I have a site called Best Guitar Lessons. So what I'm gonna do is load up that particular site. So there's Best Guitar Online Lessons. So what we're gonna do is run the duplicator, and that's gonna go scan that website and tell you what type of schema is on it. So it found one type of schema, article. So I'm gonna check it, and then I'm gonna proceed with that. So it's gonna grab the schema that's on that site. You can see it's very fast, it already worked. It's going to click it, and I'll just click OK, and it's done. So now it is loading the schema into our saved schemas. So once it's done loading, we can actually now go to bestonlineguitarlessons.net, and you can see there is the article schema. So if I click on the schema type, you can see there it is loaded, and I can click the little eyeball, and that'll only show me the schema properties that were actually used in building this schema. So there you go. It's got all the information there. You can see it's also a nested schema. They used a lot of different schema properties inside of the article type, like aggregate rating, image, object, organization, person, even web page. And some of these even have nested schemas. You can see organization also has some image objects as well inside of it. So there's a lot of schema nesting going on in there. So now it's basically done. We can just click on the render schema and take a look at what the schema that Project Supremacy grabbed looks like. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this. There it is. Okay, and I'm going to load up a notepad file. Okay, and this is PSv3 duplicated schema. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in there. Okay, and then what I'm going to also do is I'm going to go and actually grab the actual schema that they used. Okay, and we're going to compare them side by side to see how good of a job Project Supremacy did at grabbing their schema and rebuilding it. So I'm going to open up another notepad, okay, and I'm going to paste that in there. And this is the actual schema. So we're going to name this one actual URL schema, okay? And now we're going to look at them side by side. So I'm just going to put this over here, and I'm going to open up the Project Supremacy schema. Okay, so there they are, and you can see script type application. We have schema, article, play, schema, article, play, how to play, how to play. Main entity of page is a web page of wiki. Main entity is wiki, image. Okay, then we have URL, height 728/410, image, URL, height 720. You can see basically, I won't read the whole thing, guys, but you can see that Project Supremacy has perfectly replicated the schema of that URL and built it into the system. So now what you have is the actual schema in Project Supremacy that you can now go and edit. So all you have to do to be able to use this on your site now is go through each schema type. So for instance, we'll start with the guitar learning. We'll load up that schema. Okay, and we're going to click this show or hide empty properties, because for the article, there's a lot of schema properties within the article type, but they didn't use them all. They only use certain ones. So what we're going to do is hide the stuff that is available to us, but it hasn't been filled out. Okay, so there we go. Now all we have to do is go through and retype the information to be specific to the page or the URL that we're going to use this schema on, right? So for instance, we're obviously, our date published might change, our date modified might change, our headline description might change, okay? But you're going to want to make sure that you go through every schema type and property, hide the unused stuff, and make sure you update it to be specific to your property, your website, okay? So like you might change the URL of images. Then from there, you can also even build on the schema. So for instance, if we head back up to the article schema for guitar learning, okay, we can actually add more schema very, very simply into this simply by choosing the type of schema that we want. So for instance, we have the subject matter of the content. We can add about, okay. We can add a thing schema, or we can add more simple schemas. Let me delete those for now, okay. The accountable person, let's see, the actual body of the article. If we wanted to include the entire article body, okay, this would obviously be like a 200 or 500, 1,000 word article. We can actually include the entire article body into that schema, or we can embed audio or anything. Basically, guys, we have the ability to expand on the schema that they've already built. So if we make any changes, just make sure to click Save Schema. So this now is a way to basically have perfect error-free schema that you're basically sniping from other sites that you see. And it all starts with a Google search where you're seeing something that you like. It might be a rich snippet. It might be star reviews. It might just be really good schema that is getting them better rankings. So you now have the ability with Project Supremacy to use the duplicator, grab their schema, input it, and it will do it perfectly. The last thing I want to show you guys as one more example is another page. So this is a site that I own, and I'm going to run the duplicator for this URL because we actually have a couple schema properties on here. So let me run it through Google Structured Data Test tool first. So we're going to enter that URL. Okay, and you're going to see something a little different on this one. You're going to see that there's actually not just one schema type, but there's actually two. There's a video object, and then there's also a product schema with nested brand and aggregate rating and stuff like that. So while this is running, what I'm going to go do is I'm going to go back to the duplicator, okay, and I'm going to put in that new URL, and we'll just call this one BCN, okay, and we're going to save this this one to the miscellaneous group. Okay, we're not going to work on it yet. We're just going to load it up. We're not going to apply it to a website. So I'm going to run that duplicator. Okay, and as it's running, we'll go back and check. You can see it was already done. You can see schemas were detected, but this time it detected two types of schema, like I said it would. You can see on the structured data testing tool, we do have the video object and we do have the product schema. So there's basically two schema types on this page, but our schema tool in V3, the schema duplicator, found both, okay? Now you have the option to select both or one or the other and import just that. So it's an extremely versatile tool. It's extremely flexible, so it'll just give you a lot of options now, guys, to grab schema from other sites that you really love and be able to pull it in and absolutely see how other people are building their schemas and what schema types and properties that they're using, and also be able to use it on your own sites with your own information in a perfect format. And then of course, be able to expand on that because we do have almost the entire schema.org database available to use for every property. So hopefully you guys like the new duplicator, and please, as always, guys, leave your comments and questions below. And the duplicator is now live inside of Project Supremacy V3. Talk to you guys later.